People will give advice even if they don't know it. They'll give advice because they want to have a part in your success. All right, here we go. Welcome to the Anthony Thomas Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Thomas. Today, we have my man, the homie, proud Black filmmaker Kenny Hamlett. Now, this is an episode, it's a little bit different than previous ones. We did not sit down or set up. I didn't kind of build out the plan for this episode. This was a very spontaneous Instagram live. So the audio's a little bit lower quality than typical here, but put our man Phil on this to do his best editing as he does. And I wanted to share this because our man Chris Franklin, the creator of Lost in Portland podcast, he thought this would make a great episode for the podcast. I thought this would make a pretty decent episode for the podcast myself, and I just enjoy the hell out of Kenny. We will have a proper sit down later on, but this one, I just thought it was a good time to pull this out. If you are a creative, if you're a person who's seeking knowledge, if you're trying to learn new skills, especially in this world, the COVID era, everybody, the mass exodus, whatever you want to call it, this is a great time to learn new skills. So we kind of dive into when to use free resources versus to pay for resources or education or a proper mentor or a coach. We talk about success leeches, the folks that are ready to give you advice when they see you starting to gain some momentum in your career or whatever it is you're doing in your life, whether they have any knowledgeable information on that or not. So when to take their advice or ignore it. And there's also a really great success tip from a world champion in this episode. Everyone, please welcome Kenny Hamlett. Michigan to hang out. I need some golf training. Well, for golf training, I hope you're gaining access to some good golf videos. There's some really kick-ass guys out there and gals that are throwing out a ton of free golf training tips and things like that. That's incredibly helpful for the golf game. So, since I can't
you said something controversial. You said something controversial. I got you. This is. I already feel one certain way about it, but I'm gonna ask you. You were mentioning the free videos you can watch. Do you think it is better to just watch as many free videos as possible, or to just pay someone who knows what they're doing to teach you?
First of all, let me get my volume up on you. And come on, dude, you're the camera guy. How are you backlit right now?
Look, this is more cinematic. I'm in a bedroom with an overhead light.
I feel it.
Hey, look, it's picture of me and my brother in the background. That's embarrassing. Got family photos behind me.
All right, so do I think it's better to watch a bunch of videos or to pay somebody?
Yeah.
So the first and foremost, and I'm like, especially right now in this phase, I'm like on my money joint right now. So yeah. The first thing for sure is you have to understand what is your financial situation. Are you financially in a situation where paying somebody to give you the training is going to be very burdensome on you? Is it going to be something that you're like, okay, I really want this training, I really want this knowledge, this access and everything like that, and I want it customized, tailored to me specifically. But if I make this payment, if I pay this individual, if I do that and start the training and everything, I won't be able to continue it because it's too expensive for my budget. That's the first thing. Is you got to know you're like Kevin Hart said, stay in your lane, stay in your financial lane, right? So if that's a problem at all, 100% go to the free resources all day long. Like, hit the free resources and get all the information that you can off the top. So whether that's YouTube, if you're Googling other stuff, there's a lot of non-popular resources out there that are free that you can get to if you just do a little bit more search and everything like that. So that's the first thing.
But I'm gonna say, can I just real quick? So you said if money is the issue, right? But couldn't you just look at all your finances though, break it down, see where you're wasting money, and then start to hold back?
100%. That's
folding back on where you spend it.
That's prioritizing, right? So if everybody loves to talk about what I would love to do this, I would love to do that. Everybody loves to talk about that, but you have to get very real with yourself and you have to prioritize. You have to be serious. Is this something that I am prioritizing over this, that, and the other? Like, I'll tell you right now, straight up, I would love to get some guitar or some piano lessons. I would love that. No joke. But it's not high on my priority list above all the other things that I'm spending my time doing right now. So the reality is, yes, I would love to do it, but is it a priority? No. So that's why I'm not putting money into it. That's why I'm not throwing money that way. So that said, let's say money's not an issue, then you got to keep it real with yourself and just prioritize the shit. Like Warren Buffett, he's got a quote out there that a lot of people like to toss around, which is, if you want to be successful, and I'm paraphrasing here, if you want to be successful, write down a list of 25 things you want to do the most. Like 25 things you really, really want to do. And focus on the top 5 and forget about the rest. Never think of them again. And this is kind of that state. If you're saying, I really want to learn this thing, like whatever it is, right? I really, really want to learn this thing. And then you have a whole other list of shit, but this is, let's say, number 7 on your list. Forget it. Just go with your top 5 things and go in on those, right? Now, assuming getting to the point deeper of what I think you're getting at, let's say money's not an issue and it is a priority, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say it is a priority for you to learn the thing, whatever it is. I think paying somebody, especially someone that you vibe with. I don't think a lesson was taught to me about getting mentorship from people that you really vibe with. There's always talk about finding a good mentor. There's always, you're right. There's always talk about like, what does that mean? What does this mean? Okay, so you get a good mentor. You might have somebody that's incredibly successful and they're a fantastic teacher. But if you don't vibe with that person, there's going to be too much energy spent breaking them down and tearing them apart versus just like, yo, the trust is there. Well, I'm vibing with you 100%. I'm all in on this joint. That's got.
It's like having a good therapist.
It's like having a good therapist. Yeah, you might have a therapist that knows everything you need to know, but if they're not, if they don't vibe with you, if you're not vibing with your therapist, they can have all the knowledge, and you might be hearing and understanding all the knowledge, but it doesn't hit the same. Yeah, that's real.
That's crazy, because I was saying, like, I'm there with you on the spending the money, but it's hard though sometimes. Like, even with things that I like absolutely love and I obsess over, like, I don't want to spend the money to learn. Like, I'd rather watch as many free resources as possible. But what I've learned over time is, like, that gets you so far. Then you get to a certain level where it's like you're wasting more time trying to find new free resources than the time that you should be spending, like, learning the actual skills and actually using the skills that you're learning. And so, like, having a mentor, somebody that can easily help you level up or do it in a more efficient rate than trying to find YouTube videos or whatever kind of resources. Yeah, but it's hard to spend that dough even if you got it.
What do you think is the main appeal for having mentorship over just being self-taught at something?
I mean, I think for me, like, personally, when I've had mentors, it's been just learning from people's firsthand experiences rather than trying to watch videos and stuff. And, like, being able to see someone for me is like, that's major. Like, I'm a super hands-on learner, so if I can be there, like when I worked for a production company, it was like I grew so fast in such a short period of time because I was like hands-on and watching like what people I would consider like masters of this stuff, like just doing it in front of my face, and then I have to apply those skills. So it just like it made a huge difference rather than like watching a YouTube video and not necessarily having someone there to be like, swat the hand if you're doing something wrong. It's like there's no one there, and you have to like figure it out. It's a longer process, a lot of trial and error on your own, and then you have to go back and look at what you did and try to dissect it. And so when you have somebody there with you, it's like you're learning in the process. Like it's a learning literally in those.
Bruh, do you remember when I first was like, I'm gonna learn Premiere. I'm gonna learn Adobe Premiere. I'm gonna learn this stuff. And you remember when I was stuck? You remember when I was stuck super long? And we sat down in 30 seconds, you got me unstuck. I was stuck for weeks. And in 30 seconds, you were just like, oh, bruh, it's not rendered. You gotta render it. Like, render your sequence. That's it. That's why you're stuck. Like
But that's how it goes, though. It's really like that, and that's like what a mentor is for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you could have watched a million videos and never really figured it out.
Kenny, what's some of the worst advice you've ever received? Or what's some advice that might have intended to be good advice, but it came out to be like you had to uncover, like, man, that's some bullshit.
Man, I don't know. I can't say that I've ever. I'm too positive to say I got bad advice.
You've never had bad advice?
I don't. Maybe I have. I just don't listen to it. But it's like, for me, it's intuition. Like if somebody's telling me something bad, I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna Google that. Like if I don't feel good about it. Plus, for me, it's like I'm not taking advice from nobody unless there's somebody that I can consider myself looking up to. Like otherwise, like why are you taking advice from them? How's somebody gonna give you advice if they're not even where you want to be at? You can't take advice.
People do it all the time. People do it all the time.
But how can you? It's like I used to be like concerned about showing my work to just like the world, and then I was like, why would I care if like all I'm gonna get is either like positive or negative feedback, right? And some of the people who I'm getting negative feedback from ain't like ain't doing what I'm doing to really give me advice.
Right. That's honestly like, a lot of people do that though. A lot of people want. So this is something that I've learned recently. I've realized recently. I learned it, but when you realize it and you like harness it, you know, that people will give advice even if they don't know it. They'll give advice because they want to have a part in your success. So even if they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, they're gonna offer input and everything because they want to. Especially for someone like, if I see, oh, Kenny's killing it, you know, especially like dudes, he's making dope ass content for all these dope ass brands, and you know, when I start to see he's leveling up, I gotta start throwing some more shit out there because if I do that, then it's like, yeah, I'll put my man on, you know, like yeah, I'll put, you know, he's up there because of me, you know, like that sort of thing. Where everybody wants to give their input, even if they've never been there, if they've never done it, which this isn't to say that you can't have some really good input without having gone the path, right? You can have some really good input based on your life experiences. You might have I know people that have incredible insight without ever having experienced things, right? But people give advice all the time that have never been there. So like you were saying, I guess you use your own intuition based off of the advice. But if they've never been there, do you just flat out ignore it? Do you take it and digest it? I would say
9 times out of 10, yeah. Yeah, like 9 times out of 10, yeah, absolutely. But I also suffer from this issue, like I suffer from this issue of like not wanting to share any of any of the accolades, right? Like if I do something, especially when I got into filmmaking in the beginning, I was like, I don't want to work for nobody else because I don't want, like, if this hits, I don't want nobody to take any credit from me. Like it's me, like I'm doing it. And so I definitely struggle from that where I'm like, I don't want to share any of the credit.
Yeah.
Which that's something that I'm working on. Obviously, I think if we're going to get into it, like, I think it's just from like being raised and having a twin where you're like, you know, you want to find like your own separation and you never want to like, be attached to somebody else in that sense.
Right. So you attribute this secretive, you attribute this level of non-sharing your accolades to like life with a twin, right? Where you have to do something to stand out, and obviously your looks aren't going to do it. So it's not that; it has to be something action-based, like what you're actually doing.
Yeah, I mean my looks do though, because he's the ugly twin, and so
he be saying the same shit about you. Hey, that's. Jabo, you have to protect your work as if it was a part of you. That's some pretty sound. I would say that's some pretty sound advice in the creative world. I think
it's crazy though because it is, but it's not. Because at the end of the day, like you do got to share, but you just got to share with the right people. That's the thing that I've learned the most is like, because I used to try to do everything on my own, and I recognized like once I started working with people that were like that had the same vision. They want to be a part of something and you kind of share and you can trust those people. That's when you really start making something like amazing. And I think that's like across the board. I think there's like a handful of things where like like industry-wise, creative-wise, that maybe you don't have to collaborate, which I think is like photographers, which is why they're so secretive about everything they do, because it's not a collaborative team conversation. Yeah, like I'm not sharing jack with you, bro. How'd you get that? I don't know. I just did the camera thing.
It just happened, man. I don't know. The lighting just hit right, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know how it happened.
But everything else, I think like you got to work with other people to like build, and so it's like you kind of want to hold them close to you, but at the same time, like sometimes you need a supporting cast around you to like make things happen.
Right.
Like, so you just can't do it on you.
So I had an interesting experience recently regarding like sharing your work and your accolades when your achievements, right? And celebrating your achievements. So I had the chance to meet Tyree Washington. He's a world record, world champion in track and field. And I know you ran track in college and everything. He's world champion in track and field, sprinter. Played in the NFL as well. He played for the Chargers, and we sat down. About a week ago. Last week I think it was. We sat down over dinner. He was sharing kind of some info on one of his coaches, and I asked him like, what is something that you learned in your process that's just stuck with you forever, and it's obviously helped you reach levels of success that are very different, because he's had a wild life, man. He grew up in the hood down in LA, and he was running the streets, all this stuff, and to go from that to becoming a world champion and NFL, like a lot of success and all this stuff. So I was asking him, what's something that has stuck with you? And he shared that one of his coaches, when he first, I think it was a bronze medal. I think he won bronze. And he won the medal, and his coach was like, "That's great. Now go home and put it in your drawer, and let's get back to work." And he was just like kind of taken aback, like, yo, I just won bronze, like that's a big deal, in the world, you're literally the third best in the entire world. That's a huge deal, right? And you did it, and you performed on the world stage, like all this stuff, trying to look intellectual with them glasses. No, these are my hater blockers. No, they're actually my blue light blockers, which I've been getting headaches from being on the computer so much, so these actually help. I
thought you were trying to go with a whole jazzy vibe. I ain't even gonna lie to you. You turn the jazzy music on, you put your sexy voice on, you have the shades with the little yellow tint.
Nah, bro.
Like,
honestly, like if I sat here and chopped it up this whole time right here, like for whatever reason, I've just been getting headaches from screens and stuff, and I'm on screens all the time from email, like just like everybody else, man. It's just so whatever. Anyway, these help. I actually didn't think they would help, but Jeanette talked me into getting them, so I swooped them, and they've actually helped a lot, so that's cool. But anyway, so he was talking about this. He was talking about, like, his coach was like, "That's great. You won bronze now. Go put it in your drawer. Let's get back to work." And he's like, this lesson for him, it taught him that whatever level of achievement, and I see this in you as well. You're like, because you make dope stuff. We were talking about this a couple weeks ago. I was like, Kenny, why aren't you sharing your work? Like the world needs to see your work. You make some dope stuff and you're not sharing it, and a lot of that is very selfishly me saying like, yo, post it, so I don't have to ask you for it specifically, because you be texting me work when I ask for it, but I'm like, I'm tired of asking. Just start sharing it so I can see it. But a part of this is in you, right? Where you go, okay, like, dope, I just did this thing. That's great. Like, what's next? On to the next thing. And it's like you throw that medal into the drawer and just shut the drawer. You don't see it again. Like it's just gone. You don't see it again, because there's so much work to be done, and wherever you are right now, there's so much more you could be doing. So that I thought was a very, very interesting prospect, especially because I went from I don't know how many years I had my bachelor's degree, right? It's framed, everything like this. I'm like, not anywhere. It was I think it was in a box somewhere, whatever. And then recently, I was like, damn, I don't have stuff on the wall. This would be a good thing to put up on the wall, and it'll be motivation for me, because I see stuff like this, and I look at it, and I'm like, cool, like, you got your bachelor's, which there was a ton of work, a ton of memories, and all these things that go behind it. But when I look at it, I don't look at it and lean back like, yes, I made it. I look at it and I go, that's great. That was however long ago. What have you done lately? You know what I'm saying? So that's what. So for me, that I feel like that it's a similar trigger, right? Instead of just putting the degree away, instead of just putting the medal away, like hang the medal up and go, okay, that's cool. But how many years ago was that? You know, what have I done lately? That was great for Anthony 6, 7, 8 years ago. What have you done in the last year? You know, and that's something that I think you could debate based on your perspective. Like for you, okay, you're like finish this project, tuck it away, don't share it or anything like that. But you can also share it and go, okay, it's shared, anybody can enjoy it, whatever. And you're obviously marketing yourself because anybody that's able to view it, especially on the web, you could be asleep and somebody can just be up awake like, man, I need somebody. I need a creative. And they're up late at night. And you sleeping, you chilling, and they just happen to come across your work and then bam, it's like that. Like you forgot about it because you don't care.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I feel like a lot of it, though, is like a lot of it's just like word of mouth, though, these days. Like, that's why I really, like, for me, it's like I try to stay off of Instagram. I'd rather just be busy and not be on Instagram so I don't post on it and blah, blah, blah. It's whatever. And I feel like people just get stuck into this mentality of looking at other people's Instagrams and they feel like shit because they're not doing anything with their lives, blah, 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 blah. So I just try to feed into that personally. So I think it is easy to find yourself in that same thought process. And so I'm like, I'd rather like look at people that's grinding and then remind myself like, dang, you need to grind, you ain't done shit yet. And that's always that's kind of the conversation going on in my head where I'm like, you ain't done shit yet. Like,
that's real.
No matter like how good it is, I'm always like, that's not shit though. Like in comparison to other things, it's not shit, which is good and bad, right? Like, you know, my therapist is like, you need to start talking like your self-talk needs to like be better. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like I forget that. But like, so it is in a sense like you do need to celebrate, but you also need to remind yourself like
you ain't shit.
Goal.
That's what your homies are for. That's what your homies are for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we're gonna gas you up. You know I'm gonna gas you up. Right? I'm gonna gas you up, but I'm gonna roast you too.
You're right. Because last time I came over and I was like, bro, I feel good. Like this is a good year. And he was like, but how much you got saved? And I was like, oh, you're right. I'm gonna get that right. I'm gonna set up the SCP.
That's right, bro. That's it. It's like it's that delicate balance. We gotta celebrate. This is the thing. It's life, man. We all kick the bucket at some point. We all die at some point. We don't know when that day comes. You know, I could die tomorrow. You could die tomorrow. Whatever. So we gotta celebrate. But you also can't be doing dumb shit and celebrating some shit that's just not set. It's not setting future Kenny up. Because I'm not just gonna sit back and let that fly. I'm gonna ask you some questions. I got questions.
Yeah, that's what a good friend is, though. Like I saw this quote earlier today that was talking about like it was something about like friends and like having close friends and how important it is or whatever, blah blah blah. But the whole point of it was saying like you might see the amount of friends decline over time, but the quality of friends is what matters. Like the lifelong friends, the friends that last through all of it. And I was like, dang, that's true. And then I had to take a step back and was like, look at my life and like how the trajectory it's going in now. And I'm like, dang, I don't have like that many like close friends no more. Like there's not a lot of people that I really kick with like that. And I was like, but the quality of friend that I have now is completely different than what it used to be. So I think, and you gotta have the people that set you straight, make you refocus.
Yeah, bro, that's big. Hey, you see what Christian wrote? Think of the sharing of your work as word of mouth with an echo. Bars.
That is right. That's why I got that. That's why I posted, because I was like, I just had a post because I was like, all right, I need to get on here and post. I did.
Yeah, you did just have a post.
I was like, I need to be like more. I even had a dude shoot some BTS with me while we were like on set, and I was like, can you do some BTS while out here? I was like, I need it. Like, I need to make sure that I'm like being relevant and posting and sharing and showing that I'm working, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it's because in my head also, like at the end of the day, if a creative is posting a ton, they're probably not working a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're working a lot, you're not on there. And that was what I told you last time. And I still feel that way. Like, I feel like when a creative is posting a lot, then they're usually trying to find the next gig.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
how much.
Obviously, that's not how clients think.
Yeah.
But that's how,
that's right.
I think that's how we think.
That's how you interpret
clients are like, oh, I hope I can get a hold of him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Dang, he's doing it. He's out there in the trenches, man. He getting it. Dude, I wish so badly. I wish that I had somebody that could just handle my social media in the sense of posting work stuff. You know, like I'm similar. I think I do a decent job at shit. No, I know, but I'm not gonna pay. I'm not gonna pay somebody.
Right?
Yeah, that's back to the priority. That is not a top priority. I'm like, y'all gonna get what you gonna get. When I post, that's what you're going to get. That's it. I know I can have some dope stuff if I just had somebody just manage it, but I don't. So I'm like, yeah, you going to get what you're going to get. And that's about it. But, man, yeah, there's a lot that could be shared. And actually, this is why I started the podcast. This is also partially why I haven't dropped a new episode in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. I sat down actually tonight I was going to sit down and record an episode, and I was like, you know what, let me hit up Kenny instead. Let's hop on IG Live instead. This is me procrastinating.
We could have done an episode instead.
Yeah, like I could do an episode, which I think I still pull one off. It's I'll be able to. It's going to be a short little episode. You know what? Matter of fact, while we got folks in here, give me a topic of something that has been on your mind that either you're searching for answers for, you think you have an answer for, or something that's like an intense experience that you're having right now, or just an interesting experience that you're having right now in your life that I can address in this little shorty podcast episode. And then, yeah, I'm going to record it tonight and plan to drop it tomorrow. So we'll see. It's going to be on the fly. Man, Kenny.
Yeah.
You gonna start posting your work more for us to enjoy, or?
I am. It's not a priority for me, but I'm especially because like some of the stuff I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even be like that. I like you spend so much time on it, and then I finish it, and then I'm like, I don't want to see this thing ever again. Like I never want to see this project again. I just hope it dies and nobody ever sees it. But that's because I think it's easy to be super critical of your own work or critical of yourself in general when you like are trying to accomplish something.
Yeah.
And that's that positive self-talk.
Yeah. It also reminds me though, there like some top celebrities and actors. I forget who. There's a A-list actor who does not watch his films. He won't watch them.
Damn.
I forget who it is, but yeah, and it's go ahead.
Nah, I'm trying to think. Like I don't know. I think like if I was on that level, that's like, do you watch the commercial stuff you're in? Yeah. Do you feel a type of way when you watch it?
Yeah. Man, there's some stuff that I'll watch and I will look at it and I will be like, damn, that was not the take that I imagined them going with, you know. I'll watch it and I'll be like, damn, that turned out a lot better than what it felt like at the time, you know. Because there'll be times, man. There'll be times I'll be on set, I'll be in a scene, and I'm just like, I've had an experience where I'm like, okay, whoever wrote this script, this is not good, you know, like this script really needs some work or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know, we'll go with it. But then it ends up being solid, you know, like there's some sometimes, yeah, it's interesting. So I can get where people would not watch. To the comments here, the text does not validate your existence. Okay, that I'm not entirely sure what you mean there. So if you can't elaborate on that. And then looks like is a topic for the podcast: mourning and grieving a death that happened months ago, and you were just informed. Ooh. That is That is a tough one honestly, I don't feel comfortable addressing that on a podcast because I don't feel like I would offer the most well-equipped info for someone to help with that. What immediately comes to mind for me though, mourning and grieving a death that happened months ago and you were just informed. What comes to mind for me with that is I wouldn't necessarily address the death right away. I wouldn't necessarily address the mourning right away. I would look at this first and just ask myself a series of questions like, okay, what do I feel right now that's different than if the person, died last night and I learned about it today? Like, what do I feel that's different, that's unique to this specific scenario of them having passed months ago and me only just finding out? Once I have an answer to that, like, okay, I feel left out or I feel less loved or less close to this person, or once I have an answer of whatever that is, then I'll know, okay, I can actually address this better to be able to mourn and grieve better. Because I feel like we tend to have, we have false fronted, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like false fronted solutions to stuff, right? Where we start treating symptoms instead of the causes. So if I am to mourn the death of this person, then I mourn the death of this person, whether they died yesterday or they died months ago. But there's probably other feelings involved, because if you just found out about this and they passed months ago, there's a lot of weird stuff going on that's not the typical, hey man, did you hear so-and-so just passed away, that we normally hear, at least within a week, something like that. So I would address it different, like in that way. Like, what am I feeling that's unique to this specific news? And I know certain people have had a lot of experience around losing people and dealt with a lot of death and stuff. So this would be a unique scenario versus dealing with death in other ways. So that's kind of how I would approach it. But although I love this topic, I don't feel like I'm well enough equipped to address it in a podcast that would go out into the ether forever. Potentially that I wouldn't feel right without doing a little bit more research to say confidently, this is something that will absolutely help you to deal with this sort of situation. So that's one that I won't jump on. Dude, Guitar Guy credit commercial was sick. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. How's your credit? You see that, Kenny? Shift the gears, man. We hit the dark stuff and then we go sweet and uplift a little bit more, bro.
Till you asked him how his credit was.
Nah, that's my college roommate. We were roommates at Cal. I know he's got good credit. Yeah, you had to have a minimum credit score to be my roommate in the building, or for me to be his roommate, I should say, in the building. I had to have a minimum credit score to be his. I'm just playing. Could you imagine that if that's how college dorms were? What's your credit score? All right, you go over here.
That's how you create ghettos in the college dorms.
Yeah, giggity. Look at that credit score. Oh yeah. That is great. Don't you ever change. Ever. Hey, Kenny, what's on your mind lately besides that heat?
Mine has been like trying to figure out the next move. Like what is next? Like this year has been like focused on the business as like my filmmaking business, and then trying to figure out what's the next move to really grow as a individual in my pocketbook. Have some residual income and doing something that I don't know, something to set my family up for the future family.
Yeah,
that's been like heavy on my mind, like building business credit, trying to figure out like what the next move is. So
yeah, okay. It was white when the IG live. That town was white when the IG live started.
It was.
Damn, Kenny, out there sweating, boy. You got the dirty sweat. Right, you got that dirty summer sweat. What's up, Matt T. Maya G?
Still ashy feet too.
No, that's Matt T. Miyagi. That's tight. I could rock with that. That's a dope name.
Hey, but I am going to have to get off of here because I'm about to drive back to Portland now. That's cooled off. I'm going to have to peace out.
All right, bro. Thanks for joining. Much love. I'll see if somebody else wants to jump on here.
All right. Yep,
see how I'm procrastinating my podcast? All right, drive safe, bro. And there we go. Mr. Kenny Hamlett. You can follow Kenny and his journey. He's sharing some wonderful things on Instagram these days at kenny.x.hamlett. That's kenny.x.hamlett. Or you could go to hamlettcreative.com. That's his website. And of course, if you found anything valuable here or you have any sort of feedback, please shoot it my way on Instagram at AnthonyThomas33 or go straight to the website www.anthonyjthomas.com/podcast. There is a donate button at the top there where you can donate. You can donate once, you could donate repeatedly. Anything you do to donate there, it helps out tremendously with keeping this as a team effort. I am paying our editor, Phil, who's doing a wonderful job and making this whole creation process a lot easier for me because I really just want to talk and share and listen. The whole editing thing, I'm leaving up to somebody else. So please support any way possible. Give out some episodes to some friends if you've seen something valuable, even just a little clip. Just share the love. Each one, teach one, share some knowledge. That's it for now. Much love. Peace.